We all have some secrets in our lives that we never share with anyone, but also there are some secrets that we want to share with our loved ones, but then we realize that it is too late.
Some untold secrets.
This story is a depiction of the true event. The identity of people associated with these incidents is limited to them. This channel does not promote any spiritual or superstitious activities.
Today's story is about Alina and her husband, Blake, who recently shifted to a new place, a new home, and a new beginning after marriage. All these together were making Alina anxious and excited at the same time. Their first day just went in unpacking the luggage and decorating the house. Alina and Blake set up 90% of the house on the very first day, and then gradually it took them a week to settle down completely. Alina was very happy until now, but do not know why. Time to time, she felt like someone is around her. It seemed that she was often being followed by somebody, and sometimes it felt as if someone was humming some random tunes in the next room. Now it was the second week of Blake and Alina in this house. Blake had gone out of city for 2 days on a business tour, and Alina had a slight fever since last night, due to which she got up late in the morning. While drinking her coffee, Alina realized that she forgot to water the plants in the lawn. She quickly finished her coffee and headed towards the lawn, and saw that all the plants in the lawn had already been watered. The droplets on the plants were shining beautifully in the sunlight. Alina went back inside the house and started working in the kitchen. She has been thinking that if she had not given water to the plants and Blake will return after 2 days, then who would have watered the plants? She was just thinking when suddenly she felt as if someone is right next to her, and this time Alina said angrily,
Whoever you are, get out of here. This is my home.
After lunch, when Alina was watching TV, sitting on the sofa, she noticed as if she is being answered for what all she said a while ago. Because the dialogue on the TV was,
Till now, I have never harassed you, and never stopped you for anything, and you are telling me to leave this house and go away? Now, just wait and watch what all I do to you.
Alina heard these last few words right in her ear, as if someone was standing right behind and saying all those things to her. Alina was a very strong woman, so she did not care about this all that much. She turned off the TV and went to take rest in the afternoon. Alina was very fond of music and sometimes used to sing songs in the evening. When she woke up in the evening, she washed her face and started singing songs.
Da-da-dee, da-da-dee, la-da-dee, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-dee, da-da-dum, da-dee-da-da-da-dee-dum.
What happened after this shocked even a strong woman like Alina, because she felt someone's breath on her face, and that invisible entity answered her song by repeating it.
Da-da-dee, da-da-dee, la-da-dee, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-dee, da-da-dum, da-dee-da-da-da-dee-dum.
Alina searched the whole house, but she could not find anyone there. Alina was not one of those who would scream in fear over such incidents. Even this was not making any difference to her daily life. One day, when she went to the lawn to take off the dry clothes, she saw the clouds were thundering in the sky. The wind was blowing very strong, and it seemed as it was about to rain shortly. As soon as Alina extended her hand to take off the towel from the hanger, the towel started flying away due to the strong wind, as if a person was running here and there with that towel in hand. As Alina extended her hand and tried to snatch the towel from that invisible entity, she felt someone's fingernails on her hand. Alina left the towel there and immediately ran back inside the house, locked the door, and as she reached her room inside, she saw the same towel on the bed in front of her eyes, which was kept properly folded. But if this towel is here, then which towel was in the lawn outside? Alina immediately ran towards the lawn to find the answer to this question and saw that the towel was still in there. Without giving any thought, Alina brought a lighter from inside and set that towel on fire. After this, when Alina returned to her room, she saw that the towel lying on the bed was badly burned, and at the same moment, she heard someone's laugh behind her. That evening, when Blake came back from his 2-day tour, Alina did not mention any incident in front of him at all, because if she had done so, Blake would have mocked and considered her mentally retarded, like any other human being. At night, when both were asleep, Alina suddenly woke up when she felt that someone was pulling her blanket. Alina immediately pulled her blanket back, and, in the meantime, she heard the sound of her blanket being torn, and before she could figure out anything, someone grabbed her by her feet, tightly, dropped her from the bed, and dragged her outside the house, and left her in the lawn. Next morning, when Alina woke up, Blake had already gone to the office. Even after a lot of struggles, Alina was unable to get out of bed, as her whole body was in a lot of pain, and right next to her there was her torn blanket, lying on the bed. That night, when Blake returned home from the office, he was very tired, so he went straight to the bathroom to take shower. When he came out of the bathroom, he saw Alina standing right in front of him, and she said to him,
I have to talk about something important. Actually, I had to tell you something.
With smiling face, Blake replied to her while changing his clothes.
Hey, tell me, what happened? Is there any problem in this new house?
What Alina told after this, that thing can end anyone's married life. She said,
I was actually forced into this marriage by my family. I had a boyfriend, I mean to say, I still have, and I often talk to him over the phone when you're not at home.
As she finished saying this, Blake did what anyone else would have probably done. He immediately opened the door of the house and pointing outwards, he said,
Then you may leave my house right away.
He spoke this much only when Alina's voice broke his attention, and surprisingly, the voice was not coming from the room, but from the kitchen.
Hey, what happened? Your phone is on charging inside the bedroom, so who are you talking to, outside?
Blake's throat was almost dry on hearing Alina's voice, as he could not understand what had just happened after all. Yet whatever he had heard from Alina's mouth was still going around in his head. He immediately went to the kitchen and asked Alina,
Do you have a boyfriend? Not only that, have you been forced to marry me, haven't you?
Blake was saying all this when suddenly Alina heard a woman's voice in her ear.
See, didn't I say that I would not be silent now?
After hearing this voice, Alina thought that now Blake should be told whatever has happened till now in this house. Alina said,
Look, Blake, there is no such thing as you understand. Actually, in this house,
Suddenly she felt as if someone had strangled her because she could not speak anything, even after many efforts. But Alina was stubborn since childhood, so she tried to speak once again.
Blake, believe me. In this house,
This time too, when her throat choked, she immediately picked up a pen and paper in anger. But even after many efforts, she could not write anything other than Blake's name, and once again, she heard a voice in her ears. It said,
No matter how hard you try, you cannot tell anything about me to anyone.
Gradually, all these incidents were driving Alina crazy, because whenever she tried to say something about that invisible entity, suddenly her voice would stop right there. Blake was often out of city for 2 to 3 days for his business tour, and in the meantime all those incidents started occurring with Alina, even more terribly. Meanwhile, one day, when Alina was resting in the afternoon, the doorbell rang. When Alina opened the door, she saw a postman at the door with a letter in his hand. As this was the first letter ever delivered to this house, therefore Alina started reading it with a lot of excitement and noticed that this letter was from the Honorable Court in Blake's hometown. As Alina was reading this letter, she felt as if the whole house was shaking like an earthquake. Above that, she heard the voice of a woman crying in the house, and surprisingly, all these things were not intimidating Alina at all, because this was nothing in front of what was written in the letter. Till the last line of this letter, Alina's eyes were filled with tears as she got to know the truth, which had been hidden from her till date. Without any second thought, Alina sat down to write something with a pen and paper, and at the same time, she called the police station and said something, and after that she disconnected the phone. That evening, when Blake returned home from his business tour, he saw 2 police cars and an ambulance parked outside his house. When he inquired, he came to know that his wife Alina had committed suicide. Therefore, he immediately ran inside the house and saw that the police officers were already waiting for him. Actually, this was Blake's second marriage, about which Alina did not know anything. Blake's first wife had committed suicide after getting fed up with Blake's antics, as she had come to know that Blake does not go out of the city for any business tour, but to indulge in debauchery. There was also a court case against Blake regarding this allegation, and that letter which Alina read was the letter of the court itself, in which it was written that this case is being dismissed and Blake has been acquitted. Alina had written a note before committing suicide that,
I have come to know about the truth of my husband, and I cannot bear it. After my death, people might think that I was mentally retarded, but I am way too sure that the soul troubling me in this house is none other than Blake's first wife. No one else, but my husband Blake is responsible for my death, who hid such a big thing from me.
Due to this suicide note, written by Alina, a court case was registered against Blake once again, and this time he was sentenced for 10 years of imprisonment, the punishment that Blake is still facing in jail even today. And now, if we talk about that deserted house, the people living nearby that house can hear the cry of not one, but 2 women from the house clearly every night.
Thank you for your time. You were listening to Milestone 13. Please do not forget to follow us on our social media. Links are in the description.